So I'm Anna Williams. I am from New York and I make custom handmade pens.
My name is Megan Ripple. I'm originally from Fort Hunter, New York. It's in Montgomery County. I am a toll collector for the New York State Thruway, but I'm also a volunteer firefighter for the Fort Hunter Engine and Hose Company.
Okay, my name is Kathleen Van Utterstein. I'm from Schenectady. And as you said, I'm retired. And before my retirement, I was in the military. I retired in 1999 from the Air National Guard, the 109th. And I was in the Air Force. Some of the time was actually Air Force time, and the other one was Air National Guard. And then from there, I went to work for 10 years at AAA Northway.
So Jennifer Lawrence, I'm from Schenectady, New York, and I am the founder and executive director of Social Enterprise and Training Center. We call it SEAT Center. And basically we run and operate a Youth Build Schenectady program, AmeriCorps programs, and other programs that connect young people to careers and jobs.
Ladan Alomar. I am from Iran, and I am the director of Centro Civico.
My name is Peggy King. I am retired from Schenectady County Community College, where I was the Associate Dean for Student Development. I am also retired from the Schenectady City Council. I was on the City Council for 16 years out of the last 20, and my term ended in December, and I chose not to run again, so I stepped down as Council President.
My name is Rosa Rivera. I'm from Schenectady, New York, and I currently am a Program Associate at the Schenectady Foundation.
My name is Danielle Jackluski. I'm from Lauderdale, New York, and I am a firefighter.
So when I was 8 years old, my dad showed me a video on YouTube of a teenager, and he was making pens on a lathe, and I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And so I wanted to make pens too, and that's kind of my original inspiration. And then it started out as a hobby, and then people were like, I'll buy your pens. And I was like, what? That's crazy. And so I was like, oh, I could be a 10-year-old owning a business. And so it kind of just went from there.
It had always been a childhood dream of mine ever since elementary school. And then I had a best friend that we kind of made it like a pact to become part of the fire department when we turned 16 together. So it was just a dream I had always pursued from probably middle school up, and then I've just stayed with it ever since. I fell in love with the job.
My dad was 20 years, at least 27 years. He was in the Army and then the Army National Guard. And we didn't have the money as a family for me and my sister and brother to go to college. And one night I fell asleep, woke up, and I had a dream, said, you are meant to go in the military. And that's what I did. And the rest is history. I loved it. I was, as I said, 30 years. I made it a career, had a great time. If they asked me to do it again, if I was 18, I'd do it all over again. Because there's something about the military that is, you know, it's hard to put into words. It's a feeling, your brotherhood, you care for those people around you. They become your family.
A key moment for me that solidified, like a profound moment that solidified that I wanted to do this was when I was 14. I spent the summer volunteering at the Salvation Army. And I helped at the food pantry, I helped people get clothing, I helped in the soup kitchen, and I really got a first-hand look at the poverty that people live in Schenectady, and I just remember being 14 and saying I wanted to be part of that solution.
My father is just turned 85, and he still lives at home. He always talked about importance of giving and being sensitive to your surrounding. And looking at yourself as a citizen of the world rather than the world being all about you type of thing. And I remember once looking at the picture of a bodybuilder. I was a little girl, I would say around 9 years old, and I said to him, what a strong man, look at his muscles. And then he looked at me and he said, he's not strong. And I said, no. He said, no, strength of a man comes from his ability to give. And by that, I learned not just giving in a sense of money, but giving time, giving love, giving understanding, and giving compassion.
My mother was an educator, and I started off as a teacher. I taught for 4 years and decided I needed to move on, so I thought about going into guidance work. And I had a friend who worked at the University at Albany, and my mother was a UAlbany graduate. And she suggested that I look at the student personnel program, which was something very new to me. I went to a very small liberal arts college that had a dean of men, a dean of women, and house mothers. So I got to the University at Albany, and this whole world opened up of student personnel, with, you know, from admissions to student activities to dorm director and all of that. So I decided at the time, this was in 1969, 1970, which is when there were a lot of issues with Vietnam and anti-Vietnam protests. So I opted to go back down to New Jersey, where I had grown up, and took a job as a counselor at Ocean County College.
I really wanted to have an impact on my local community. I feel very tied to Schenectady, and so I wanted to connect with other people and help other people in the community.
My grandfather, when I was younger and there was a call, he'd always take me in his truck and park by the scene so I could see what was going on, and I'd look out the window and he was directing traffic.
Just kind of knowing like where I can go from here, because I've already like had so many opportunities as it is in the past 5 years that I've been in business. So I mean, I just kind of imagine like where it could take me from here.
Helping people is the biggest. Just knowing that you're there in a time of crisis for somebody else, that you can be their hand to hold while they're breaking down, that you can be their hope and their light at the end of the tunnel. Whether it's an actual fire, or you're sitting with them in their car while it's turned over, or it's a medical call, just going over and knowing that you're there at the drop of the tones, and that they know that everything's going to be okay.
My volunteerism. I love volunteering. I do a lot of it. I was, all through my I grew up volunteering.
As I got older, a lot of my friends didn't make it, didn't graduate high school. A lot of young people dropped out of school that I knew. And I saw that I learned firsthand that it wasn't a lack of intelligence or knowledge that people were dropping out of high school. It was that their life circumstances. And so I, at that time, said that I wanted to find a way to help young people see there was hope for a future. And I think what inspires me is seeing our young people. Every year, you know, we graduate young people who told me 6 months earlier that they didn't think they would live past 21 years old. So really, that is what inspires me to keep going.
The people that I work with, the people I serve, when you see the result of your work, that makes you wake up every day and go back to work and do more. And obviously learning through the years that when you're committed to a cause, how your commitment can make a difference in your world and the planet as a whole. Everything that we do, every single one of us today.
Just being of service to people, to organizations. I serve on a number of boards now, including the SCCC Foundation Board, the Sunnyview Rehabilitation Hospital Foundation Board, the Schenectady Symphony, Habitat. So I'm obviously a person who likes to stay busy, so it's kind of fun for me to be involved with the different organizations.
I get a lot of inspiration from my friends and family, and from other people that I work with who are chasing their dreams and their passions. To see them do that and witness that gives me a lot of inspiration.
Just knowing that I'm there at the worst day of someone's life and I can make a difference for that person. I can either change that day, no matter how little, for either the good or the bad.
I've definitely had a solid 3 people, the top one being my dad. He's helped me so much throughout, my life in general. He's my dad. And I would not be here without him. He's helped me so much with the business. And so, yeah, definitely my dad. Another one would be Pete Bardunias. He's the president of the Southern Saratoga Chamber of Commerce, and he's also helped me very greatly.
Originally, I went into the fire department thinking I was the only one in my family going into it. My father ended up joining with me the same month, so that was inspiring. And then after being part of the department for a little while, we found out that my grandfather actually used to be part of the department too, and he was actually chief. So those inspirations kind of kept me going, that even though it wasn't the traditional, you're following in your father's or your grandfather's footsteps, I had initiated the process, but then I went back and found this history in my family that inspired me to keep going too.
My parents, they were loving and kind and caring, and as I said, my father was military. My mom stood by him the whole time. They were always there. No matter what I wanted, no matter what we said, any type of volunteer work, they'd come down and help me out. They were always right there in the forefront. The other person is my identical twin. Yes, my sister Amy. She and I are attached to the hip when it comes to everything we volunteer for. If you see one of us, you see the other. It's just, we're there.
There's so many, I always feel like life is this collection of experiences and people. So there are so many people who I feel like, helped me, spoke life to me, encouraged me. I would say for a mentor or role model, my grandmother, I always come back to my grandmother. So I had this grandmother, she's still alive, I'm very blessed, and she had 5 children of her own, but she taught me at an early age that you're never too busy to serve, never too busy to give back. I remember her making meals for all of the grandkids and kids, and then packing up a meal to bring to someone who couldn't, who was sick or couldn't get out of the house. I remember her telling me about human rights, not just in the US, but in other countries, and telling me to buy American. She would return gifts if they weren't made in the USA. So my grandmother had a deep appreciation for human rights and really talked to me about Mother Teresa and her principles, and that's a big part of, I think, who I am today. And there's been a lot of amazing, people since then.
I wouldn't say one person. I have been influenced by many. But I would say few are on the top, people like Rosa Parks or Mother Teresa, people that they show courage for a cause, or they have such a ability and a strength to give and love unconditionally.
I would probably say my mother. As I said earlier, she was an educator. She loved teaching. She was also very involved in community things and served on the borough council in the small town where I grew up. And she just has supported and encouraged me, throughout my career. And she was just a wonderful role model and mentor.
I would say I come from a line of strong women in my family, from my mother to my aunts to my grandmother. And so anytime that I seen strength, it came from a woman. And so they all have had a profound impact on my life. My mother, she took care of us by herself, and so that showed me that women were really capable of doing a lot.
My grandfather especially, just do your homework, and you can't have dessert till your dinner is done. Just a very by-the-book kind of guy, but he also understood too. So if you had an issue, no matter if he liked you or not, you could go to him and talk to him about it.
I would say definitely go for it. For me it was easier because I really have nothing to lose. I have, I don't need income because I have, my dad's house. So But I mean, definitely like do what you want to do and like be willing to take risks, because like I've had to take a lot of risks, and I mean you have to be willing to fail because like it's just part of what you do, you know, and you learn from your mistakes.
One piece of advice I would give is no matter what your dream is, to never stop pursuing it. Obviously, the firefighter career is not your typical woman's career, but it's still a family, it's still a brotherhood. They all still treat me the same, and I work twice as hard to prove myself, even though I probably didn't have to. But I have gone from being a probationary member 8 years ago to being the second assistant chief this year. So things can happen. You can't give up. You got to keep going towards it, and just don't let anybody else put you down for it.
Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of something that's a little different. You know, like Robert Frost said, the road to the poem, the two roads diverge, and I can't think of the wording right now. You may want to take that other road that's not traveled so much. You'll never know exactly where it's going to bring you out to. That, I think, is because that's what I did. I took that other road, and I've had a fantastic, utterly wonderful life.
I think what you said about what advice would I give a young woman is very interesting, because I got some very good advice, and I got some advice that I had to not take. So I would say is know what is good advice and know what to throw away. And one time someone told me that I needed to basically be more like a man in my leadership style. And you know, we hear this, there's books out, everyone talks about this now, and I would say that was advice I didn't take, but although there's great male leaders. But what I would say is just find out who you are and be the best you that you can be.
Be honest and true to yourself and follow your passion, regardless of what people around you tells you.
Number one, get involved with anything that interests you. Take advantage of internship opportunities, volunteer opportunities to gain experience that's going to help you professionally. But I think, again, that this whole idea of just be involved, get active in different things, get active in your community, and you just keep picking up wonderful skills that will benefit you, as I said, in your career and in your life.
The advice I would give to another woman would be, who's getting into the business world, would be profit is great, absolutely, but we don't want to forget about the environment and also our social responsibility, because that's what's going to affect future generations.
Don't give up. It's hard at first. It's always hard at first. There's going to be bumps in the road and people who try to get in your way and make you not succeed. And if you give up, you're never going to succeed. If I would have given up, I wouldn't be where I am today. And I'm very happy I didn't give up and I pushed through even when everyone was against me.
Definitely, I think I'm going to have to go with unique, because I've had crazy experiences and like opportunities with the business, and so I mean it's definitely been very unique.
I would say that the entire experience is driving. You had to have a lot of drive in order to become part of this profession in the first place, only because it's so non-traditional of what society has played in gender roles when it comes to jobs. But to know that you're just making a difference in people's lives, it just keeps you to push farther and drive better. I've done so many classes throughout the county and the state just to help people. I went and got my EMT license just to help people, and it's just a self-rewarding thing that, you know, once you get that drive going, the momentum keeps going, it doesn't stop.
I'd say experience through volunteerism, again, because that gives you the opportunity to try things that you probably might say, I really don't think I want to do that. But you might be surprised. That may be the exact positioning that you may want to put yourself in and you may want to go into. If there's a chance for it, try it. You might find you'll like it.
Interesting. Interesting. And why? Because it's not been perfect. It might be difficult, but I don't regret anything because I enjoy what I do every day.
Amazing, because it has been an amazing ride for a girl that was born in Iran under a whole different social norm for a woman, being a second-class citizen, having the ability to travel and come this side of the world, study what she wants to and be able to do what she wants to do, and still be blessed to work every single day and do the work that she wants to.
That's hard. I would probably have to say interesting. Just because I've been able to do a number of different things, and my political life, that was something I would never have thought I would ever have done when I was younger. And it just kind of evolved out of my community involvement. The city of Schenectady, there was a year when the 2 Republicans on the city council were elected to other offices, so they needed to appoint people. And it was my community involvement that led them to reach out to me to see if I would be interested. And at first I was not sure, but then I decided to give it a go, and I've not regretted it. It's just been, as I said, a great way to serve the city and just to be involved, and it's been fun.
I would say the word would be stardust, because that's what we're made of, and we should never forget who we are.
Just amazing. I've seen so many things. I've helped so many people. Some of these things good, some of these things bad. At 22, I've probably seen more than normal 22-year-olds, and that's amazing. I mean, not your normal 22-year-old is running into a building to save X amount of kids, and my dad's in there, so I'm very thankful for that.